And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live Antwood Movie Mania. And we are live because it is interview time. Now, my special guest has made a name for him right across the globe, from starring in the acclaimed drama as the First Emperor to forming his own stunt team, from learning loads of different martial arts, from starring in the hit show The Nasty Boys, from starring along the likes of Chuck Norris in Invasion USA, Michelle Yeoh in the Heroic Trio, and celebrating 40 years of John Carpenter's cult classic, Big Trouble in Little China. So I would like to welcome to the channel the much appreciated James Pax.
Hello, and how are you? What a brilliant
I am
speech
doing.
you gave. What a brilliant speech you gave. I think there's a little time lag, so let's just take it slow, so we don't, overlap each other.
Yeah,
Let me
I will try
finish.
my best.
Let me finish my introduction about your speech.
Oh.
I think, and you have an amazing, vocabulary and speech ability. I think you for sure can be on my team and help me to write my future speech when I have to give some big speeches. All right? Definitely. Yes. Thank you for inviting me to your Movie Maniac. That's the name of your channel, isn't it?
Yes. I am I'm thrilled to have you on here. So before we get started, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming onto the channel. It means so much to me that people like yourself, onto my little YouTube channel and taking the time out of your day, because I know you have a crazy work life, and and I just want to again say thank you.
Not at all. There's nothing big or small in this world. But I don't want to get too political. Sometimes my thinking just goes right into what's happening right now. But let's not talk about that. Maybe at the end of it, I'll give a little speech about world peace. That's my wishes. But indeed, there's nothing big or small when I talk about, being a human and also relating to others. I always feel that we're all equal and we are all trying to do something better for our lives and to interrelate to each other on a friendly way so that the world can be a better place for everyone to live, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Just before we start the interview, I just want to give two big shout outs to Hawkinge Comic Con for reaching out to me to help get this set up, and to your agent, Jenny, who's been brilliant, helping me with the questions and making sure everything is being set up nicely. And so I just want to give a big thank you to them as well.
Yes. Definitely give a great thanks to Hawkinge boss. And Jenny, my manager, is on the side here taking video as we're documenting this fabulous 40th anniversary tour from the US all the way to UK, and then we are going to be going to Australia as well. So we're trying to document everything I do.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you for letting me be a part of it. That means a lot to me.
Definitely.
Right, so my first question of the day is, how is your morning going?
My morning has been absolutely crazy because we're just arrived in LA and we don't really have an apartment here. Why the first day we were searching for the apartment, and now we're waiting to move in, to be permitted to move in. And so we are staying in a hotel, and today we have to change it to a bigger suite. And yet, believe it or not, when we check in, we realize that the suite doesn't have an air con, so we have to scramble for them to bring in a big fan, which is churning up the sound below my feet. But so far has been great, since we arrived about 5 days ago. Was last Thursday arrival, and then by Saturday we were in, they call it San Diego Rocket Con, which is also quite interesting. Spent 2 days there meeting up with my fans, did a lot of signing, a lot of talking, as usual. And then we came back and getting ready to do your show. Yes, it's been very exciting start because SD RocketCon is the first of this year, and then we're going on to somewhere near Los Angeles, and then a week after we'll be in Florida for 3-city tour.
Wow.
Just to show everybody we are very well organized, as you can tell. Yeah, I own a event management company in Asia and in Hollywood for over 30 years. Yeah. So, the event management house is also a production house that does anything from Chinese concerts to Olympic game. I am the one who produced the Olympic game, what do they call it? Cultural exchange week for the Coca-Cola executives that came from the entire world. About 800 executives came in on 2008 to Beijing to attend the 2008 Beijing Olympic, and I'm the man who is in charge of providing them with the best Chinese cultural shows. So that's what I did. So I'm a man of many hats. Today I'm an actor, and a day after I could be a director. And then when I'm free, I am a screenwriter, a storyteller. So I wear many hats at different times.
So take us back a little bit. Growing up, did you know you wanted to be an actor, or did you have a different career in mind growing up?
Well, I have to say, growing up as a kid, I was skinny as hell, and I got beaten up once, in the schoolyard. Can't remember what it's about, but when you were a kid, you were stupid anyway. Yeah. So after that, I said, I got to learn something to protect myself. So one day I watched the TV, and Bruce Lee was on the TV, as you know. Back in the 70s, I think I was in Hong Kong and just a little kid, and Bruce Lee was doing his kung fu demonstrations and being vibrant and also a little bit arrogant. But I think you can be arrogant if you're as good as Bruce Lee. He always tried to demonstrate how great his body is and how fast his move is. But it's just the way that he speaks, and also after watching this movie, I said, gee, I gotta learn Kung Fu. And perhaps then I can protect myself. And that's started my journey of the search for Kung Fu and athletic training. Then I moved on to New York, and I began to learn Taekwondo, Karate, and continue the Kung Fu and the Wushu, and doing all kinds of weapons, staffs, broadsword, longsword, spears, this, spear that, and on top of that, I was believe it or not, I was a ballet dancer, trained at the Joffrey Ballet. You might have heard of it. They tour all over Europe as well. And at the same time, I was trained to be a jazz dancer. Back then, jazz dancing was very popular because all the shows on Broadway were doing jazz. So then I got involved into what did they call it? Music video, MTV. And a lot of TV shows that requires dancers. I'm the first up, and I'm the first Asian American dancer to be dancing on TV and also on all these MTV shows. That's how I started. But one thing that really started I should say, inspired me to become an entertainer was when I was just in college, and I went to Chile, at a very young age, and through French introduction, because I was already a singer, and I was every day I was holding my guitar and singing in my room, and my friend's brother came in and said, James, come on out, you have to show us how you sing. So I sang a couple of songs, and he said, my God, this was real good. You need to be on TV. I said, are you kidding me? He said, no, I'm a famous comedian in Chile. I can get anybody into shows if I believe in them, and I believe in you. The next day, he took me to the TV station. They say, okay, shoot, sing something. Boom, boom, boom. I sang 2 songs. Enough. You're in it. You're in the show. So the next thing you know, a week after, I was on this big stage in a big theater that had 5,000 female audience only.
Wow.
And of course, these Latino women, they're just crazy. Well, men, but I didn't know they were crazy about Asian men like me. I said, am I the first Asian man in Chile? That kind of thing. Maybe I was, because while I was there for 3 months, I don't think I ever met another Asian man there. But you know what? I went up, of course, with prior rehearsal. I had a 40-piece band behind me. You can imagine, right? Those Latino 40-piece band with congos and all kinds of, drums and whatever. And the full brass section. Oh my God. And I was saying, the minute I strummed my guitar, I could not hear myself because the whole crowd went crazy. It's just like in a Beatles concert in America or something. But I just kept on singing, one song after the other. I don't even know how I ended, but the ending was just phenomenal. The women just went crazy. That's how I started. In that evening, when I went to bed, I began to try to recall what had happened. And yet I do not recall much except the screaming of these young girls. I said, what is it about you, James? I mean, is it something that I do or you do, James do, that attracts people's attention? That's when I had my first notion about becoming an entertainer, really. So that's how it went.
Oh, wow. Just take us back a little bit there, because you mentioned about all these styles of learning like martial arts. How long did it take you to learn gradually learn each?
I have to say I'm a very quick learner. Don't know why. My parents were not athletic. One was a businessman. My mother was also a businessman. I'm the I'm the only child, but I just somehow picked up these movements very quickly. Um, uh, I learned, let's say I learned karate. I had 3 months lessons of karate, and then another 3 months lessons of taekwondo. After that, I pretty much a self-learner, because my body is so well trained and I'm so limber. I treat the movement pretty much just like a movement. It's same thing when I was a boy. I was already playing piano. Believe it or not, I was a classical pianist to begin with. And then I started to pick up guitar and everything just came very easy for me. And the same thing when I learned martial art, it also came quite easy for me. And I
Would
went to
that
a
be
high
would that be with like being in ballet, like with movements of everything like coming together?
I think I'm just naturally well coordinated, I would say, and I'm kind of somehow, you know, although it's not in my genes, but I just picked it up real quick. And after that, 3 months and 3 months, I was learning everything by myself and watching Bruce Lee's movement and his whip kicks and his backswing kicks, and his limberness. Pretty much 90% of what he does, I can do it just as good. And I even went on the bus, and then there was some people was trying to talk to me. They said, "Are you related to Bruce at all? Oh my God, you look so, much like Bruce." I said, "Oh, no, I'm not, but yeah, I do a little kung fu, and so sometimes they will come and I want to see my training and all of that." So it's always been like that. I somehow attract attention wherever I go. Maybe because I was also quite well built and all of that. But I was a very quiet kid, I have to say. And not until I became, even in high school, studying in New Jersey, I was a very quiet person. I do not make any speech unless I'm asked. And I was just training every day, getting buff, because back then everything is about Sylvester Stallone, that kind of thing. So I was training, weight training, just to make myself look buff. But every second of my training, it's either fencing or building up my body or doing my kung fu or playing my guitar. I was never had a restful minute before I sleep. It's either study or I'm out there doing something. So I was a very busy kid. That kind of kept me going for a while. That's how everything comes around. Yeah.
Can you just give me 1 second? I just need to turn on a light because
Of course.
otherwise my screen's going dark. And give two,
Sure.
2 seconds.
Sure. Oh, oh, that's
Oh,
much
that's
better.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
much
that's
better.
because I was just saying it was starting to go dark, so I was like, "Can he see me? Can he not see me?" I was
Yes,
like, "Oh,
yes.
that's the last thing I need." I was like, "That's the last thing."
You are
Um,
totally. Yes. Go ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead.
Right, you have formed your own stunt team, the Immortals. Can you tell us how that came to be?
Well, I've been an actor, for like actor and a martial artist for almost 20 years. Never thought about becoming a director and a screenwriter until I moved on to Asia. Did movie with Michelle Yeoh and many superstars in Hong Kong. Uh, while in Asia, I've been told many times, why don't you be a director? Because I produced commercials for Japanese company, like a tour commercial.
Oh,
Uh, and they said, why do you need a director, James? You're so experienced, you can direct it yourself. But when you are an actor, all you think about is how to be famous. And my head was just not yet on the
mm,
horizon of being a director or a screenwriter. But people has been whispering in my ears saying that you can do it. But until after that, I went into China, from Hong Kong to China, and start, doing promotion and start doing Chinese movies and all of that. I begin to realize that Jesus Christ, I'm always a person behind the screen. When I watch how they direct, because I'm always an observer. And then I said, gee, I mean, is that the right framing? And are those actors doing their right job? I'm very meticulous when it comes to acting and about how people act, because I call for good acting, because I call myself for not just good. I say I want to be great. My kung fu idol is Bruce, but my acting idol is Marlon Brando, Al Pacino,
ah,
Robert De Niro, Montgomery Cliff. These are my idols. So in a way, everything I do, I I I I can't say I copy them, but I certainly learn the best from the best.
yeah,
And when you learn their skill and how they do their speech and how they turn their head, they're all different from each other. But when you learn their skill and then you instill it into your mind and then you transfer it into your own soul, then you will come up with your own style of acting. And that's what I believe in. So therefore, I'm very meticulous about how other actors act, although I never dare to direct them. I make suggestions, but I never direct them because I'm just an actor. But I always say, hey, let's try this, let's try that. Because I always think they can do better. Because if I don't see it, that they are being by the moment or they're just saying their line, I say, hey, let's try this, that kind of thing. So in a way, being an actor, I'm already kind of a director, in a very subtle way, of course. I don't want to take away the glory from the director. But that's how I was. And so uh, when I was in China, I did a couple of movies. I did 6 movies and TV series. And I just realized that, man, these directors, I think I can do a better job than them. And I looked at the script, I said, gee, is that all you can write? I can write a better story. And so then I said, hey, James, you got to try yourself. So I begin to pick up a subject and start writing it in Chinese, and then I came up with a book called A Bowl of Fish, was published back in the early 2000s.
mm,
Uh, and then in between, I was already, attempting to write stories as a script. Of course, hundreds and hundreds of rewrites on a story. But then through a period of 20 years, by the end of the 20 years of writing, I said, James, you are becoming very good. And I believe my story is just as good as those maestro, whether it's Ong Lee or whether it's all these wonderful American directors. I said, James, you need to begin to talk to people and to expose yourself about the fact that you have a good script that you want to get it produced. And that's why everything comes about, from that transition of being an actor into writing and then into directing. And that's when I begin to write, then I think about, how I'm going to cast people. Then because everything I write is about, mostly, I would say 80% about action. So I said, I'm not going to use other people's stuntmen because I have my own way of choreography. I'm already a choreographer. I have my own team. I already picked up a kung fu team, doing 300 tours in Europe and another, 30, 40 tours in Asia on TV. I'm a producer for 40-minute segment on the 20th anniversary of some TV stations. And believe it or not, we all have 6 members and myself, and I'm running up and down the stairs, between camera shots and telling them what to do because in Indonesia, nothing have intercoms. You got to run up and down, believe it or not. But I was young, I was capable, but then by the end of the week, I was totally dead. But the result, after we edited it and then aired it, then I said, man, that was good. That was good. So that's how the whole thing came about. And then when I started writing Vortex, which is going to be my next movie that I'll be direct, I said, I got to have my own team of stuntmen because I don't want to use other people's team. I have my own way of picking my own stuntmen. So then I start looking at people's videos and all of that. And slowly, one by one, I collect them, videos, and I say, hey, this will be good, this will be good, this will be good. But currently, they are all over the world. But when I'm ready to shoot my movie, for sure, we're going to bring them in, or I'm going to be doing a big exhibition show, then we'll bring them in. But I've done a lot of directing and commercials for different products, but also putting my own 3 to 5 minute video for Vortex, which I can't really show it yet since it's top secret. We only can show it to the investors and also to the studio. But people have seen it so far. They can say, my God, James, you got to put the money together and make it tomorrow. That's the reaction from the people that have seen it so far. And I'm glad that the reaction is so strong because that's what I'm saying. Whatever I do, I say, James, it's not just being good. It's going to be something groundbreaking that is different than the 80s Kung Fu movie, than Kill Bill, than Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because I've already absorbed all of that, and plus the very best of Bruce Lee's movies. Because I'm like a sponge, I absorb and then I can spit out something of my own, and that's what I believe in. I believe in originality. Let's talk about Hollywood today. Excuse me, enough of Marvels. Excuse me, it's soulless. I'm sorry to say that it has no soul. None of the characters have souls. All they care is about, smart language, girl and boys flirting with each other and then punching each other out, and you don't even know what the bad guy's about, and excuse me, I mean, not to put them down, but I really feel that they need somebody better to write a script, write some soul into these characters.
More depth.
Yeah, more depth. Yeah, definitely. And punching just one swipe and the guy flies 30 feet away. There's there's no need for action. You just have a wiring. That's all you need to do. Am I right? I mean, at least in the 60s and 70s American Western movies, you see they do the bar fight and it looks fun. You know, they throw people up and down and they're really punching each other to death, right? But the Marvels don't need that. You just go one like this and he's down. Go one swing like this, one, they're all over the place. To me, it's silly.
Yeah.
It would be a little more intricate choreography, a
Yeah.
little more emotion, a little moment of stillness. Night, if you look at the Japanese samurai movie, I don't know if you watch it or if you're a fan,
Oh no, I haven't watched. I haven't watched it. No.
you need to catch it because that's how I learned about quiet moments, still moments, and poses and suspension. Suspended. The air is suspended and it's breathless before the killing starts. And when the killing starts, swap, the person is dead. Just one swipe, one knife of the samurai, you're dead already. And then another person comes, sa, 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 sa. 5 people dead in 5 seconds. But it's a suspension of waiting for the action and the close up on each person's face, that whether they're scared or they think they're going to win or how am I going to do it, you know, all of that really builds up that little something, you know. That's what I learned from the Japanese samurai movie, but from Bruce Lee movie, there's also a lot to learn about, you know. I mean, Bruce Lee is a natural director. And then if you look at, what was that movie with Chuck Norris in
Not Enter the Dragon.
I'm sure the
they're in
fans
the
know it. Yeah,
They're in the Colosseum.
yeah. The fans know it better than us. I cannot remember every movie that he made. But I think out of all the Kung Fu movies, I should say, the scene in the Colosseum is the most classic one, and nobody can ever top it or even compare with it. If you look at the way they start a fight, it's like two person or two cows, you know, in a cow fight, they are trying to attack each other. The cows were doing the sweep of their feet, you know, and you know, shaking their head before they going after each other. And if you look at the way that Bruce Lee shot it before the two-person fight, right? They were doing like bending up and down, the cat scratch, cat stretch. Hey, excuse me, do you ever see that in any other movie? Not in American movie, not in the Chinese Kung Fu movie in the 60s and 70s. No, only in Bruce Lee's movie. That is the brilliance of Bruce, because I'm sure it is him who come up with the idea. Let's not go into the fight yet. Let's just be really characterize this fight scene. So there's expectation and show how much limberness that we have. You know, that's the brilliance that I've learned from Bruce, really. And nobody really talk about it. And that is the brilliancy of Bruce Lee's movie. He's the one that designed it. And it has the beginning, the middle, the climax, and the end. That is called a great choreographer, a great artist, and also a great director. Really, it's classic. Give it another 300 years, nobody's going to do a better fight scene than that one. In my opinion.
I think it was called The Way of the Dragon.
Yes, The Way of the Dragon. Yes. Indeed.
Yeah, just if I can't think of a film, it'll bug me, and then until I get it.
Yeah, The Way of the Dragon.
You were just saying there about becoming a novelist with a bowl of fish. How different is it between screenwriting and doing a novel? Like, was it hard to separate the two?
Yes. Well, you know, when you write a novel, it's tens and thousands of words. It's definitely more in details. More, you have to describe the environment, the air, you know, the breathing air, the flowers in the garden, and the wind blowing outside, the sky, the cloudy sky, and all of that. But when you are writing a script, it's only bits and pieces of sentence, words to describe the environment, boom, and then you have the action, because you only have 90 to 100 100 to 130 pages the most. And that is the difference. So definitely a novel takes a lot longer to write, and you have to learn how to describe things in details and with interesting languages. And of course, it gives you a lot of time to develop characters. And through the scenes, through the conversation, you review each character's soul and his distinct behavior, whether his speech, whether the way he or she dress, and things like that. Then when you have that as the base, you will be able to transfer it right into a script. And then everything becomes more succinct, very, not as much in details, but it's just in words. But then you can write out the dialogues, also has to be condensed. And that's the beauty of it. I started with writing novels, but at the same time, I was already attempting to write script, but it really helps each other. I begin to understand what structuring is about, because in a book, if you don't know how to structure, it's not going to read well. And from that, then I transfer the same skill of structuring into writing a script, so that it reads fast and flows well, and it will build up a certain rhythm, and also scene to scene, you begin to draw readers' imagination into the scene that I want them to feel, the emotions I want them to feel. Really, because I really think American cinema, or the world cinema, did a lot better from the 1940s all the way to the 90s, maybe into the early 2000s. But in the last 20 years, I have to say, it's a road down to the pits. Excuse me. Nowadays, I don't want to criticize, but every stream of these channels, famous channels, they're all doing quick lunches, because now everything is streaming, so they gotta have a lot of content. So everything become quick lunch, quick lunch, quick lunch. There's not much of character development. They're just smart, dialogues. I call it smart ass dialogue, and it doesn't mean anything. Come on, if you want people to speak, say something, something a little more intelligent, and review their character in just smart dialogues. I'm not good at writing that, but I'm much better at writing dialogue that means something, so that when there's a quarrel or just a friendly chat, it really strikes you to think, oh, that's what he or she is. That's where he or she came from, that kind of thing. And then when you have the conflict in the middle or the end, then it means something. It's almost like writing a play, because I believe in the play, you only have one take only. And if it's not good, people are going to walk out, because I walk out in many of the current movies. I wouldn't want to tell you what we walked out, but I will tell you now, because they really make me mad. Excuse me, all right? People always say, why are you so critical about everything? You have to be critical. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. And it's free speech, really,
That's fair
Did
enough.
you watch the Oscar? Let's talk a little bit about the Oscar first. Did you watch it?
I don't watch the Oscars, because I tried to watch it one year, and it just goes on for hours, and they have about 200 ad breaks, and
yes.
it's
I
just
agree.
constantly like, I give up watching it.
Yeah. I agree. I used to love it, during the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I love the Oscar, because back then they really made good movies,
Yeah.
But in the last 10, 20 years, I really feel the movie quality went down in Hollywood, especially. I don't know much about European movies. And a lot of my fans, I always ask them, what do you think of the Oscar this year? Oh, we didn't watch it. All my international fans, oh, we are boycotting it. It's so ridiculous. It's so political. And being an American, I kind of have to agree with them, because a lot of the time I watch these who wins and who loses. It's not fair. That's not it, And especially the best, so-called the best picture. I think it was one battle after the other, by DiCaprio. You know,
Mm.
excuse me, Jenny and I walked out of that movie in China in the first 30 minutes, and both of us said, "My God, why is the American movies nowadays so degenerated? You know, you go into the theater, you want to be entertained. Either it's a horror movie or it's a movie that talks about family that's gonna make your eyes jerk with tears, or it's gonna be a comedy that's gonna make you laugh your heart out. You know, it's either one of the three, right? Or it's gonna be a great action that's gonna, you know, really make you excited and say, "Oh yeah, that was great fight scene." But you know, one battle and the other, it's just such a degenerated subject. Every three word there's an F. Every three word there's a C. You know what I'm talking about, and I don't
Yeah.
want to say it now. Too much of that. Excuse me. Is this an American movie maker thing that only Hollywood can use every three word F and every three word a C? Why? Only Americans entitled to do that, and not the rest of the world. And not the rest of the world people know how to say it, and you have to use that so much to identify that you're an American movie maker. Ridiculous. Sorry, ridiculous. Totally ridiculous, and it's degenerated. It's not good for the young people to watch it. Even for the adult like me, I want to see something happy. I want to see something positive. The world is becoming. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So I don't want to even talk about it because we're not talking about that today. But that
Okay, well,
movie, you know, really represents that. Excuse me. That's why I said forget about Oscar. Forget about Oscar. You know. Anyway, let's go on to the next subject.
all right. Okay. Well, we'll move on to TV and film now. You starred alongside Michelle Yeoh in
Yes.
the Heroic Trio, which earned over 20 million in Hong Kong alone.
Yeah.
How does it feel to hit that number just in Hong Kong?
Excuse me. It's not just in Hong Kong, but it's entire Asia in the early
Oh,
2000, which
all right.
is already a big hit because Hong Kong movie, when you hit 2 million, you know, US dollar, which is about 10 million Chinese Hong Kong dollar, is already a hit. But this one hits like 3 million here, 2 million here, 1 million there. Add up the entire Asian area in the 90s, 20 million is a huge number. It's a blockbuster, as the Americans call it.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was a very successful movie. I wouldn't say, you know, that I feel that it is a great action movie, but it was successful commercially because they have three beautiful girls, you know, Maggie Cheung, Anita Mui, and Michelle Yeoh, and I happened to be picked to play the male lead with Michelle, you know, and uh, the script was quite decently put together about their relationship, and it was a wonderful time working with Michelle. And actually, I'm indebted to Michelle because uh, it was she actually introduced me into meeting the director, and then I was picked. I was not even picked immediately. Director said, "Fine, whoever you like to work with, I will use him." That kind of thing, you know.
Mm.
Michelle has a lot to say in that movie because she's such a big star. But she was very kind to me because I only met her briefly when I came in from Hong Kong, and we just hit off so well, you know, because she's a dancer. You know that she was a dancer for
All right.
for for many years. She was really not a kung fu lady, and she's always very frank about it. But she started as a modern dancer, studied in UK, and I'm a dancer, studied in New York. So we had a lot to talk about when we first met, and we hit off well, and we became fast friends. And that's why she said, "You need to, play my opposite," and that's how the relationship formed. And even when she asked me, "How is it working in Hollywood?" Because back then she's still not in Hollywood yet. I said, "Oh, Hollywood is good, but you know, there's racial discriminations," and I'm telling her this and telling her that. But you know, I think it's time that you make a move to Hollywood. And she even asked me, "Can I look at the contract? How the Hollywood contract looks like?" I said, "Of course." So I transferred a copy and show it to her and to her lawyer, and that's probably gave her the inspiration. Okay, now I'm ready to go to Hollywood. That kind of thing.
Mm.
Yes.
All right. You mentioned Chuck Norris earlier on. Back in the 80s and 90s, he was like a megastar.
Mega, mega.
To start an invasion in USA with him, what was that like?
Chuck is such a down to earth kind of a person, and I really didn't get to a lot of chance to do individual scene with him, but just standing on the side, looking at the way he treats the crew and everybody. He's a very down to earth kind of guy, very kind person. His wife, extremely kind, never have an attitude or anything. And I actually just met him 3 years back when we did a Comic Con together in Texas. And I was so excited. I went up to Chuck and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I played Koyo in Invasion USA with you, and you killed me with a bullet. Oh, of course, I remember you." And the wife said, "Oh, give James a hug. Give James a hug." The wife was so warm because, I guess she remembered me vividly. So he gave me a hug right away, and I quickly have somebody take a selfie. So we have a selfie after 30 years of not seeing each other. But I'm so glad he's 80 something. He's still very, vibrant and very healthy and all of that. But you know what? I have great respect for him. I have to say, I have a lot of respect for all martial artists. But if you talk about martial artists that really had done something for the movie industry, the ultimate two is definitely, excuse me, the Japanese, Seven Samurai director, Kurosawa, and the actor, I cannot remember his name now. He played in many of the American movies, but he started with a samurai movie, Seven Samurai, and hit them, and also Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, because without Bruce and Chuck doing that incredible scene, in the Coliseum, there wouldn't be so-called the international kung fu movie or martial art movie today, really. Whatever follows him, which I don't think I need to mention their names, I cannot say that they are my favorite, all stems out of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, because they were the epitome of good martial art kung fu movies. And if you look at Chuck's resume, my God, the amount of competition he did when he was young, and they call it full contact, karate champ. Oh my God, they were really kicking each other. Different than MMA, because you have to bring people to the ground and submission and all that. But they were like karate, hardcore, boom, 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 and competed because I had learned karate. And we used to train like that, hitting each other's chest and stomach, one punch, that kind of thing. They call it one punch. Got to punch him dead, put him down. That's how they taught us. So I know, I feel it myself. And I say, hey, he could do that over and over again and still standing there and still being the champ and along with other champ. But he had the luck to be starring next to Bruce that brought him to the big screen. And that's why when Bruce passed away, he carried on the flagship and became Chuck after. So I have great respect for Chuck, I have to say. And on top of that, he's a great human being.
Obviously, Chuck is known for his martial arts, like you said. When you were like in Invasion USA, did he ever show you anything new, like martial arts wise, that you might not have known?
Not really. We never really had a lot of time to interact because my scene's more in the crowd scene. I played one of the terrorists. We were attacking the coast of America, and it was always more of a crowd scene. And then him and I had a very short scene of me checking on, you have an ID? He said, oh yeah. And he's sitting in the truck. Suddenly he pulls out a gun, and I pull out his gun at the same time, and he shot me dead. That was the only interaction that we had. And other scenes, I was like killing, all the civilians, and in the swamp of Atlanta, Georgia, which is lots of fun riding on those rafts, and alligators everywhere. So it was an incredible experience being in that movie. And I have to say, that movie is definitely a pioneer of all terrorist movie today, because that was like terrorist movie before there was terrorists, before the 911, right? It was made in 87 or 80 something. It was way before 911, really, so. But it was good. I watched it over again. It's good, and the DVD is out. They say it's one of the best-selling DVD ever. So.
All right. Now the first Emperor aired on Channel 4 in the UK, and it had a great response. But since then, it has moved on to YouTube, gaining blew up over 5 million views.
Yeah.
And counting. Does it feel proud to be part of
Yes.
airing first and then like
Yes.
just blowing up like onto the YouTube scene?
Like Big Trouble in Little China, when I took on the project, I never thought it would be as good as it is and last as long as it is. That has become an international cult movie, whereas the first Emperor, it was just on the tube, premiered on 2006 on Discovery USA and Channel 4 UK at 18% when it first premiered on Channel 4 UK. But it was shown at the same time throughout Europe and Asia, Australia, everywhere around the world. 300 TV channels, showed it. Definitely, I was very proud of it because it was well written by Nick Young. That we'll have a phone call later on today. Fabulous director, British director, and a screenwriter. And I also contribute ideas about scenes, added scenes to make the character stronger and with a soul. And we had a wonderful collaboration. And I'm glad that the movie, even after 20 years after, that so many fans leaving messages on YouTube. Oh, one of the best docudrama ever made. Can you imagine? That's how they say it. And I feel the same. If I watch the Netflix docudrama today, it's so like everything is so all formula, just like all the Hollywood action movie, all formula. But this one truly, gives you an in-depth view of the first Emperor, what the man is about, and also wonderful documentary about the tomb, about the history and everything. It was very well put together. 90 minutes only, but it was like very tightly, intricately weaved together, like a carpet. It's wonderfully done. Even just the opening, the first 3 minutes, it really catches your eyes and your attention. Good job, Nick Young. I'm actually looking to do a documentary with him. He told me that he can't direct it because his health is not good. But I said, maybe you can write it with me together,
Yeah.
But anyway, that's one of the projects in the future that I'll be doing as well. Yeah.
Right. Working on the hit TV show The Nasty Boys, how different is it from making a film to being in a TV series?
Right. Oh, I have to say, that was back in the early 90s. American TV series were really at the height of its production. And the budget back then was about $1 million per episode, which is already a lot of money, of course.
Yeah.
Because some of the what's his name? I can't remember. All the canon movies were made with 1 million. Those kung fu movies back then. But one TV series, 45 minutes is already 1 million and over, which really well made. I have to say, well made, and it was a wonderful concept. Actually, it's a jump off from Miami Vice. Instead of 2, we have 5, but they call it the Rainbow Coalition. White, black, Asian, yellow, and that kind of a coalition.
Yeah.
And with Dennis something, I can't remember his name, who played the wonderful actor who played the captain. But the concept itself was really incredible. A group of young, hard to trot special task force. They are more of like a narcotic special agent. during the day they dress hip, and when they go on a raid, they wear these incredible black suits, and they call it we keep what we seize. Means if the drug dealers have a Lamborghini, we will seize them a Lamborghini, and I happen to ride on a ninja bike. My character was more like a cross between Bruce Lee and Don Johnson character in the Miami Vice, which was really stood out. And I was always wearing my little sleeveless tank top, right? And back then, boy, I looked at it just the other day. I said, I look good. I look good because I was really buff, but I was like, really like, I look good back then, I have to say. And then the outfit looked great on me. But most of the time, I just know how to flaunt my body, I just take off my jacket and I just sit there with my tank top. Everybody else is wearing shirt and all of that and suit. But it really shows the character that he is hip, he's intelligent, he doesn't speak much, but he's there to kick some ass, that kind of thing, And I'm the one who does all the kung fu kicking, of course, and the ninja bike riding. So I really, unfortunately, it was only made for 13 episodes and they stopped. It's because Dick Wolf had trouble of turning out each episode on time. So some week they had to repeat the last one. Yeah. And I think that kind of made the studio not so happy. And that's why it got canned after 13. But I really think they should bring it back because the concept was so good, The concept was good, yeah.
But, now, let's get into John Carpenter's cult classic, Big Trouble in Little China, which is celebrating 40 years, and you play a fan favorite, Lightning. First off, can you tell us how you got cast as Lightning?
Oh my God. I've said it many times in interviews, but I will repeat it in a very short form. I was in New York and starting out as a struggling actor. Before that, I did a movie called Year of the Dragon with, what's his name? I cannot remember his name, but anyway. Year of the Dragon was one of the first Hollywood-made Chinese mafia movie based on real Chinese mobster in New York. And I happened to play the mobster's right-hand man, the assassin. I'm the one who killed Mickey Rourke's wife. Okay, Mickey Rourke, yeah. And I was the strange thing is I was the only actor who played a Chinese gangster in Chinatown. The rest of the gangster in the movie, they were all real gangs. So that was the interesting thing, but I won't talk about that. Big Trouble, I had to prepare 2 weeks for the audition. The line, I actually read for Wong Chi scene, But they say you got to prepare a kung fu scene. They want to see how good your kung fu is because this is action. So I had my teacher who taught me wushu in New York. I said, we got to put together a wonderful, kung fu scene together. And if we do well, maybe we both can be in it. So we trained for 2 weeks. It started with hand forms right into weapon fighting and all of that. And, we go in, we lay down him, boom! John say, camera. And his hand is already like that camera, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Draw the thing as if he's shooting it, but if it's not because it was shooting through a VHS camera up there. But he's like a director already looking at his own camera framing. And we didn't care. We didn't care who is there. We were there to perform. So we were like fighting, hand-to-hand combat, boom. And then we could pick some of our weapons, fighting like cats and dogs. And at the end of it, my God, John was like elated. He stood up and said, this was the best action scene I've ever seen in New York. So afterwards, a week or two later, we got an offer. I said, my agent said, oh, you got an offer. I said, oh, did I get Wang Chi? He said, no, you didn't get Wang Chi, but you get another part called the Lightning. I said, what is Lightning? Oh, it's action, it's good. But I said, I thought we already have an offer from General Hospital. General Hospital, quite famous back then, a soap opera.
Yeah.
And I was a new actor. So I said, hey, John, General Hospital offering me a 1 year contract with a lot of money. He said, no. Well, my advice is take John Carpenter's Big Trouble because he's a big time movie director. He might pay less, but you're going to be in Hollywood right away. And you're going to be doing this incredible movie that could turn out to be a big hit. And you're going to be a big screen actor, not just a TV actor, soap opera. He knows he's going to make good money on the soap opera. He's charging 10%, but he wanted me to be a big screen actor. So I took his advice, flew out to LA, this movie, and became a classic right after. It was just amazing. Yeah, definitely. It was a great experience, I must say.
So, you just said yourself there, because like everyone else thinks it too, that John Carpenter is a legendary director. When you were on set, did he give you any advice during a scene?
No, really, because honestly, he really trusted my own judgment, and since I don't have any dialogue, I just have to, play around with my facial expressions. But I'm just trying to concentrate on what I'm doing. Since I'm a new actor, I said I gotta impress people with my movement, because that's all I'm here to do is movement. You are a dancer, you are a kung fu man, so do the movement right. So they said, we're gonna draw in the lightning, and you're playing the lightning. And, you probably never seen a lightning character, but your arm is your weapon, and you're going to shoot out lightning like crazy. But you got to have to do something interesting to make yourself look good. And then they say, oh, the lightning will be drawn in afterwards. Okay, so that gave me a framework. So I started to choreograph something. I don't want to make it too complicated, because I have a big head to begin with, and I can hardly move. So I got to stand still and do something interesting, and yet give it enough time that whoever is doing the layering of the color has enough time to have the lightning shooting out. So everything needs to be calculated, how many quarter of a second of a pause that's needed. That's why it looks so good. You know why? Everything's got to be planned out. That's what I did. Yeah. And just so you know, in this movie, believe it or not, the choreographer is the same choreographer of 那人叫什么名字啊？黑色帝国男主角 Keanu Reeves is the same choreographer for Keanu Reeves' big movie. What's that movie called?
John Wick.
No, the
Matrix.
Matrix. Same, by the Chinese master. Yuen Wo-ping. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Yuen Wo-ping. He's 80 years old now, but I do respect him for what he did, especially in this movie, and he did a great job, I must say. And this was way before that. You have to know that.
Yeah.
And I never met him until on the set. And back then I didn't know too much about him. I just know that he was a choreographer. But he came up and said, James, are you okay with your own movement? But, I'm always very confident of myself. I say, of course, I am. Don't worry. I'll make my character look good. Fine. Do whatever you think is good. And that's the short conversation we have. And I guess he just know from my eyes that I'm a serious kung fu man, and I would show him something good. And it did turn out good, wouldn't you say? So I said, in a way, I was just an amateur actor and a wushu. I couldn't even say that I was an expert, but I already learned to be a choreographer of my own character. just of that movement. Everything needs to be calculated into the quarter of a second to make it look good. And then after the drawn in the lightning, it just looked incredible. But do you know that while I shoot on lightning, I even had a yell so that it gives you that extra power. All that yell is my own voice. It wasn't put in by some, other people. And I think all of that really turns out well. Just like Bruce Lee when he kicks, ha, ha, ha. But I didn't do ha, but I do something else different. And I really identified the character. That's how I learned, step by step to be a good action actor, I guess. That's how I started.
Right, so Big Trouble in Little China is celebrating its 40th year. To you, what does it mean to be part of something that special, celebrating 40 years?
Oh my God, 40 years. It's a long, long time. Yeah, watching it 40 years ago in the Chinese Man Theater in New York, in Los Angeles, they used to call it Chinese Man Theater. And I was totally impressed by my own character and by the movie. But I never thought that 40 years after, it had developed such a big fan base of millions of fans adoring it. Old people, more mature audience, and now the young people, because the parents or the granddaddy is showing it to their grandsons or their sons and daughters. So the fans are really catching on, the younger fans, I have to say. And sometimes, even when I'm in Comic-Con, they come up and say, "Oh, who are you?" I have to say, "Oh, Big Trouble in Little China." "Oh, I haven't seen it yet." The young teenager. I say, "You have to watch it. It's on YouTube. It's free. You watch it. All right? And this is my name. I gave you my card. And if you watch it, you like it, next time you can come to the Comic-Con and meet me." And that's how I always try to inspire them, because what's make it so special, I have to say, it is action-packed. It has great one-liners, and it has all elements of kung fu action, comedy, beautiful green-eyed girls, and some monsters, sorcery, and Chinese myth. Man, where can you find a movie like that today? You know what I'm saying? And yet it's all such a great fun kung fu action, and yet you don't see any violence. It was all about kung fu fighting, even breaking through the glass. And you thought, oh, that was fun, because you don't see any blood in any scene at all. It can, that's what makes it such a beauty, is because it has no violence. And it's just a fun movie that you can leave it on TV while you're washing your dishes or doing your laundries, or you're having a meal, because you just hear the sound and watch it. It's just such a fun movie, And I guess fans say, "Oh, I've watched it hundreds of times. I watch it twice a week." Some of the fans tells me that. I was amazed. I was amazed. Yes, I'm very proud of it, I have to say. And I do want to congratulate John Carpenter for his masterpiece. I have to say, this is probably his most popular movie, and he did put a lot of time and thoughts into it. He's a very meticulous director. Back then, I didn't think of myself wanting to be a director, but then recall how he directed, how he picks out the costume, how he adjusts my hat, and he feels the material. He's just very meticulous, very much a hands-on kind of a director. He cares about every single bit about the costumes I wear. And I guess that's what calls for a great director. You need to be detailed in every element.
Finally, we are at the end. This is my last question, so we have finally made it to the end.
Yes. Okay.
You are touring across the States. You are going into Europe, celebrating 40 years of Big Trouble in Little China. Right. What does it mean to you that the fans have made you a fan favorite? The fans that have stuck with you, that meeting the fans, wanting you to tell stories, to sign things. What does it personally mean to you that the fans have stuck with you for so long?
Well, this is going to be the first tour in 20 years. I was in the New York, I was in the London film something, I can't remember the name, but back then there was already several hundred fans came and meet me, UK fans, even fans from Spain. But this is after another 25 years. We're in the 26 now. It's been a long time. That I'll be making myself back to London, and I'm looking forward to it to meet my UK fans and also my fans coming in from Germany. We have some fans coming in from Germany. A young 17-year-old Louis. He's so excited. I could not believe it. This young 17-year-old teenager. He asked me about this. He asked me about that. That just tells me the power of the movie, really. And that's why I said the movie maker, the producers need to be responsible for the message you're delivering within the movie. And I think this is a great example of a movie that can be watched by all ages, and they are going to be happy to see it. They're going to learn something about it, and they're going to treasure it. It's entertainment, but it's healthy entertainment. So I am looking forward to it. I can't wait to meet all my UK and European fans. But after UK, we are going to be in Paris and maybe in Italy as well. Already having a screening set up in Paris because apparently there are already a lot of Parisian movie fans that are ready to meet me as well. So it's going to be very exciting to meet the European fans. They call it the EU now, but Britain is individualized themselves. But definitely, and I also find that the UK fans are very meticulous, and not easy to please, I must say. But I haven't met many of them yet, but Jenny had communicated with some of the fans, but definitely very meticulous about things, picky about things, I have to say.
Yeah.
But I'll have to see them for myself. Yeah, definitely. I accept all fans, whoever, whatever you are, right? As long as you
Well,
love Big Trouble, come and meet me.
well, you've made a friend here. That's for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. Thank you so much. But just to repeat, believe it or not, I'm half British. My dad is British. My dad's name is Peter Scales. So my real name is James Scales. But very few people knows, but that's what I am. My mom is Chinese from Hong Kong. But my dad, is one of the first British men who went into Shanghai when he was a teen, when he just graduated from college. He was an accountant and then became the vice chairman of a big conglomerate company in Hong Kong listed. And
Wow.
of course, he lived until his 90s, and he passed away about five years ago. But I really treasure my dual mix. Although I never really spent much time in Britain, but I admire the British culture and tradition. But I have to say, he really showed me what a British gentleman is, and he is a gentleman. I have to tell you that I have not met another British person that with a better humor and a better and care for humanity. There's a title, I cannot remember the title now. The British Crown, they give titles to special citizens that serves the society. And not,
OP.
yeah, but not sir. It's one level below.
Yeah.
He is scheduled every other weekend to go to the jail to visit all the criminals that were jailed. And that's what he devoted his free time to.
Wow.
And he never swear a word in his life. That's how wonderful a gentleman he is. And he sees an old man walking on the street, going through the red light. He's always there to help. It doesn't matter if Chinese or whatever. But you have to understand back then, Hong Kong was a British colony, and I have to say the British officers, policemen riding on a motorbike and all of that, they were very biased against the Chinese. I have to say, I mean, it's a dual standard, just like America right now.
Yeah.
And it was practiced the same because they think the British there, being in the police or whatever government level, they all think they are one level higher or maybe 5 level higher than all the Chinese people. But those are the truth, and that's what I witnessed. That's why I say it. But I'm so glad now Hong Kong is back in the hands of the Chinese government, because Chinese government had done so well for the people, But being half British, I do treasure my own heritage, and I do want to promote it as well, along with the Chinese culture, which is going to be in the vortex. And that's why everything I write is about history, about different racial differences and things like that. Yes.
Well, that brings us to the end of our interview.
Thank you.
Look, I just want to say a big thank you for coming on. This is why I love doing interviews, because I love learning about people's careers, about their, like you said, heritage, everything like that, like everything that you've grew up, you've learned martial arts, about your ballet, everything. So again, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you again, Ant. All right, I hope to see you in UK. Come to our show. You got to meet us there. All right.
Hopefully, if I can get down there,
we'll share a meal together. All right. On me, on Jenny. Jenny has the credit card.
oh well, they'll definitely be there then. That's...
you have to come down. All right.
Right. That brings us to the end of our interview. I would love to thank the amazing James Pax for coming on and celebrating everything about his career, especially with Big Trouble in Little China. Again, a big thank you to his agent Jenny for setting this up. Again, tell her a big thank you as well. But as always, I am Anthony Movie Mania. Please leave your likes, your comments, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. See you later.
See ya soon in UK.